Thanks for staying up late with us. It's now 11:30, and we want to begin this evening with this new federal lawsuit that's filed today against one of the world's most popular gaming platforms. This lawsuit claims that Roblox allowed a predator to reach and exploit an 11-year-old girl from Johnson County. Alex Almanza spent the last few hours going through this court filing, and it shows what you can watch for if your child is on this platform.
Freaky Diddy Simulator, Escape to Epstein Island. These are the examples of thousands of mini-games created by Roblox users. Accounts with names referencing convicted sex offenders allegedly permitted to be openly engaged in children's games. It's just one of the many disturbing pieces of evidence now in a lawsuit filed out of California, where the app giant is headquartered.
But this is one of the reasons why we're suing Roblox, right? These parents are missing the truth.
Stan Geip, a partner with Dolman Law Group, is representing an 11-year-old girl identified as Jane Doe and her family. Court filings reveal that girl, just 10 at the time, reportedly came into contact with a man on Roblox who convinced her to exchange phone numbers. It eventually led to explicit messages, with the man even asking the girl to undress over video chat.
She's distressed. She's bothered. She's not thinking that at 18, I'm going to have to worry about this popping up when I go interview for jobs. Right? She's just like, hey, I've gotten in big trouble and I know this was bad.
This comes amid a string of lawsuits and claims alleging Roblox enabled sexual predators to connect with and abuse children. The company's CEO says they already have measures in place meant to protect young users.
Much of what you hear about is not happening on Roblox, and many parents aren't aware that many other apps that kids have access to allow image sharing, allow texting.
This week, Roblox rolling out a new feature. Users who want to chat now have to provide a government ID or let AI estimate age with a photo scan.
Now it's going to take a picture of me or make me do a face scan.
I put the new feature to the test, which the company says for now is rolling out on a voluntary basis.
It put me in the age group of 18 and up.
While Roblox says the new feature will increase the number of users verifying their age, Geip wants parents to know it's not just Roblox.
Use Roblox and what you learn from looking at this stuff in this litigation to educate you about what might be going on other platforms.
In Johnson County, Alex Almanza, 13 News.
Next month, a federal panel will review whether this lawsuit should be grouped with almost 24 similar cases. The decision would determine if they proceed together as a single class action. Angela?
Scott, skies are still cloudy. Temperatures are still in the 40s. In fact, we have 45 in Bloomington and Bedford and 43 in Indianapolis. And I just checked with the National Weather Service. We've been at 43 degrees for the last 12 hours in a row. Temperatures aren't going to move much with the low clouds and fog developing overnight. Sunrise 7:34. I don't think the fog is too thick. We shouldn't have too many delays on the roads for that morning drive. But don't forget the jacket. It's another cool day tomorrow. 43 at 7 a.m. Highs tomorrow near 50.
All right, Angela, thanks tonight. Governor Mike Braun is voicing confidence that this current impasse among Indiana Republicans on redistricting is just a bump in the road, not the end of it.
He's made a very bold decision to rebuke the governor, the vice president, and the president.
That's Governor Braun calling out Senate President Pro Tem Rod Bray. Bray has said repeatedly there is not enough support to redraw Indiana's congressional map. It's why he said he's not convening a vote on the issue despite the governor calling for a special session. Yesterday, Governor Braun said he's exploring options to compel senators to come back and vote. He talked to our Dustin Grove today about what that means.
What did you mean by that?
Compel is a word that means we're not going to just take what Rod Bray did and accept that as the end of the story.
So are you saying that the Senate can be compelled to come back even if Rod Bray doesn't call them back, or you think that they will change their mind?
I think they'll change their mind.
Governor Braun went on to say 19 senators are on board with a vote on redistricting. House Speaker Todd Huston says his members are ready to show up. Republican lawmakers against redistricting say redrawing the map with a 7-2 GOP advantage isn't the way to gain Republican seats in the 2026 midterms. Tonight, Republican Senator Dan Durnall confirms a swatting attempt on his family. The senator has not publicly stated his position on redistricting. He represents Highland in northern Indiana. Senator Durnall says he is grateful that law enforcement quickly recognized this was a false report. The state senator released a statement saying, in part, "It is sad because of these efforts and work that I am villainized in some minds to the point of harmful retaliation. Threats to public officials cannot and should not be the norm. I hope to see justice for this illegal behavior." Now, a similar situation played out over the weekend in Vigo County. State Senator Greg Good said sheriff's deputies showed up after they got a false report of an emergency. And you can see our full conversation with the governor about redistricting right now. We've got it streaming for you over on WTHR+. Indiana National Guard troops just got called to Washington, D.C. to help address crime in the nation's capital. All of this comes at the request of the D.C. National Guard. About 300 soldiers from units in Gary and Bloomington will be heading there in December. President Trump first mobilized National Guard units back in August, saying military help was essential to address a crime emergency in Washington, D.C. That deployment won't last longer than 4 months, but the exact timeline isn't clear tonight. Governor Braun authorized that mission. President Donald Trump just signed a bill to release the files related in the case against Jeffrey Epstein. That measure passed the Senate through unanimous consent this morning. So this requires Attorney General Pam Bondi to release all of the unclassified records tied to Jeffrey Epstein within 30 days. But it allows her to withhold or redact information if releasing it would jeopardize an ongoing federal investigation. Epstein pleaded guilty to Florida state charges of soliciting prostitution with a minor back in 2008. He died by suicide in jail 11 years later as he waited to go on trial for federal sex trafficking charges. Tonight we are hearing from neighbors after a shooting involving 2 town marshals and a suspect brought an enormous police presence to rural Clinton County. Investigators say all of this started as a traffic stop near Michigantown. This happened around 9 last night on State Road 29. This is a story we first brought you as breaking news Tuesday night at 11. A Clinton County deputy, assisted by 2 Kirkland Town marshals, pulled over a car. Then investigators say the people inside the car got out and one fired toward officers. The officers fired back. In all, 4 people hit, 2 marshals, the suspect, and another adult. This is a part of Indiana that's more fields than houses, but that didn't stop the information from spreading quickly to those who do live nearby.
The neighbors all were calling each other and saying, "Hey, make sure your doors are locked, so we got a guy on the run in the field with a gun." So everybody was locking their doors down tight.
Officers ultimately caught the suspect. No one appears to have been seriously hurt. Here's a look at the other stories making headlines right now. Friday, the governor is ordering flags at the State House and state facilities in Clinton County to be lowered to half-staff, all in honor of National Guardsman Terry Fry, who died in a crash last week. According to his obituary, Sergeant Fry used to live in Frankfort. The 23-year-old was in a Humvee when it flipped on I-65 in Boone County. 3 other guardsmen were injured. Tonight, more than 24 people are in jail after a drug raid in Johnson County. Police arrested 26 people on various charges, including drug possession and dealing. They say they seized cocaine and fentanyl, as well as guns. Tonight in Indianapolis, man has signed a plea deal admitting that he made threats on social media about killing immigrants. This happened the day of President Trump's inauguration back in January. Preston Pickett pleaded guilty to intimidation, a threat to commit terrorism. Pickett will get a 2-year sentence. The judge will decide how that's served at a hearing next week. The Skyline and roller coaster are coming down at the Indianapolis Zoo. Visitors will see those changes next year. Zoo leaders say the project opens up space for new or expanded animal exhibits. They say the rides no longer align with the mission of the zoo. Remember, you can find all of our latest local stories anytime on our 13 News app.